our word has a life of its own. It was but a word that the Baptist pronounced, "Behold the Lamb of God," and it changed the discipleship of Andrew. He went from the forerunner to the fullness and brought his brother with him. We have found the Messiah. And they then will be called, will leave all their moorings, actually literally, and will become fishers of men. What does that mean? They will cast their words throughout the world, and the word will let in souls. How are they to believe in him of whom they have never heard? And how are they to hear without a preacher? And how can men preach unless they are sent? How beautiful are the feet of those who preach good news. The word still has power. I recall many sermons which were actually life-changing. Even in childhood, powerful preachers could have an effect if they were clearly understood. The person of the preacher also has a bearing. If he is young and fresh, he talks to the heart of the young and fresh. If he is on fire, that fire spreads. And the word too of educators has a huge effect on the young. I'll never forget the way that our Sunday school teacher would say things which left a lasting impression. When talking of the great preachers of Wales, those who, as he put it, rather the Cymru ar dân, put or set Wales on fire. He was referring to the way in which Wales caught fire several times over because of the word of preachers, but it was surely also not without divine grace, for when the whole country is taken over by prayer and praise, old Nick is certainly not amused, and souls are saved. In those days, there was no distraction. When the great preacher came to town, it was a village event, and people had power because they knew how to use the power of the word. Gestures, intonation of the voice, being interesting, even entertaining, that was part of the parcel. And it was also that of the Christian centuries in Europe. Great preachers like our own Bernardino of Siena, they would sway the crowds who would come 2 hours before to get a place, and they knew how to hit hard. If we manage to cancel the eternal equation, loss of the soul, what power have we? What effect has our words? Very little. And so it is that the Lord has nothing to bless, because nothing really was said. People were left where they were. Alas, if only we realize the power that we have in our hand. And by the way, the devil has been obliged to admit during exorcism that the taking away of pulpits is a great victory for him. For the physical stance of the preacher talking to the people from a place of authority, similar to that of Christ, has in itself an extra power of persuasion. Authority in the name of the Word himself. Nowadays, many people do many things from the ambo, and no distinction is made. The football match is announced from the same place as eternal salvation. Woe betide the preacher now who says anything out of place. Even people in church know more than he, and he will be reported if he says something which they don't want to hear. Old Nick is very clever. He's managed to find actually a place for himself in our pulpits, as well as his own great pulpit, the screen. Now the preacher has to compete with many entertainers, and if he reads his notes and says a nice lecture, what hope has he of swaying the crowds, who in that homily will be probably elsewhere, solving their important problems? It is important to wake up the people of God and to do as these apostles did. They changed the world by a word, and we think it is more important to get over and done with the minimum. Often supposed to go to the next celebration, which is more important. It might be another Mass, but nevertheless the feeling is given that we're in a hurry, in a hurry, in a hurry. And the people of God go away undernourished forever. Laudate omnes gentes, laudate Dominum, laudate omnes gentes.